Hey there, my name is Jessub Flower. I am a screenwriter, educator, and all around learning, training, and development nut. And welcome to the My Favorite Teacher podcast.
Oh, my favorite teacher makes the rocking world go round.
Yes, that's right. Thank you so much for joining us again for the My Favorite Teacher podcast. I'm so glad that you're back. I am going to jump right into it because I'm super thrilled about the guest that I have with us today. I really can't believe that I got him. It's pretty amazing to me. But that aside, my guest today has worked on incredible shows, right? Like The Late Late Show with Craig Kilborn, story editing and writing on The Pits with Mike Sully, executive producing on Dad's, show running and executive producing on Family Guy since I think 2005, quite some time. Plus, he has written movies like the Ted movie, the Ted 2 movie, A Million Ways to Die in the West, so much more. I could not be more excited. Please welcome my incredible guest, Alec Sulkin, today. Alec, welcome.
Oh, thank you for having me. What an intro. I mean,
Yeah, right.
you've got such an infectious smile.
Oh, well, that's
Made
good.
me,
Thank you very
it
much.
almost made me want to smile there for a
Uh,
second.
oh, you know what though? I think I almost left out probably your credit that you're most proud of, which, from my understanding, I think one of the greatest people of all time not only like follows you on Instagram, but made some even comments and liked some stuff. The quintessential Tom Brady, right?
God, my best friend. That's right. My best friend, Tom Brady. And I know we were in talks to have both of us here today on the podcast, but at the
Yeah,
last time he's prepping for a game. You know how busy he
of
is.
course, of
Uh,
course.
yeah, my good buddy Tom. I make that joke all the time. I met him once. I have one picture with him, so now I claim that he is, yes, my best friend.
Of course, 100%. So I obviously that story and the one thing that I left out on purpose is where I became familiar with you, not just by looking at your name on credits, but you had a great underlined, super scored podcast for several years with Goldie Sharp, a typical disgusting display. I I cannot tell you and thank you enough of the number of episodes that I just looked forward to every time. It was a fantastic podcast, Alec.
Oh, that's so nice of you. We loved doing that. Goldie makes me laugh probably more than anyone on earth, and it was always so fun just to hang out and talk with him. What I liked about it is we had so much fun doing it, and then literally right at the end, all three of us were like, "We're not. It's not fun anymore."
Well, then once you lose the joy or the love of something, there's you start doing it, and it becomes a grind, and then it definitely shows in the work and stuff like that too. I'm sure, but for those of us that were the listeners and the fans, and I even am friends with a few people that might even be listening right now that we are ex like kind of ex ramblers and ex like typical disgusting or disgusties is what we were called,
Right.
and
Yeah, that's
we
right.
were just really love the show. So thank you for doing all
Uh,
those episodes.
we love doing
I
it.
will
Thank
never
you.
forget though. I mean, I think one of the ones that I laughed the loudest was when you discussed your verification on Instagram.
Oh my
Um,
God.
I don't know if
Yep.
you briefly want to share what
Yeah,
happened
no.
in a microcosm of it.
Well, it speaks to my own vanity. It was such a hilarious sort of hoisted on my own petard thing where one day I got a DM on Instagram from Instagram telling me that, basically like you're kind of a big shot now. We want you to get verified, your
Right,
check,
blue
which of
check.
course we all secretly really want, and or not so secretly. And so I just greedily, and I can't remember what I had to do. I had to give like a little bit of information and then say, like, oh, of course I'll accept my check as a very important person, my blue check. So I sent this thing, and right away I got a message back that just said, instead of completed, it said completed. And like right at that moment, I understood exactly what had happened, that I
Oh,
had been completely scammed using my
duped.
own natural momentum against me, my momentum of vanity. And so, yeah, my my account was hijacked
Oh,
for like a day. And thankfully, we have a great IT guy at Family Guy, Viet, who I have on call. And I called
I just
him
would love to hear his or her initial reaction to
his.
kowtowing and saying, "Can you please help me with my?"
Yeah, I'm sure. It took up a lot of his free time. I think it was on a weekend. It might have been like a Saturday or Sunday, and it definitely took up most of his day trying to get untangle me from this mess. But I was proud to say that I was able to, after getting the account back, I was able to taunt the person who did it. I sent them a message like, "I got it back, asshole," and then they were like, "I know," and that was it.
And I'm sure that they were, yeah, struck to the heart by that.
Yeah, right.
Well, that's just an example of stories. I mean, early plug here, but all of those typical disgusting display episodes still available out there. I mean,
Yeah,
it
those
is
are
it is
fun.
well worth the listen for the amount of time that you did it. You, Goldie, and JC was a wonderful show.
Yeah.
Speaking of wonderful shows, now you have been on countless podcasts, and so I'm not going to go through all the normal things. Hopefully that you do. I'm actually curious because I've not really heard you talk too much about it. Million Ways to Die in the West, right?
Yeah.
I know that it is one of those movies that for me is still hilarious. I actually thought it was hilarious. I thought it was filled front to back with incredible jokes and stuff like that. Didn't get the attention, or I don't think the money that it deserved and everything like that. But what was your experience like working on that one? I mean, you wrote
I
it with. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. So I wrote it with my old writing partner Wellesley and Seth, of course, who's very hands-on when it comes to the writing of like the Ted movies and the Western. And we had a great time writing it. It was so fun to write because once we kind of locked into really, as the title says, like you just lock into the West as this horrible, deadly place where it's kind of viewed romantically through Westerns, and you think, okay, it is deadly because of gun violence, but
Mhm.
you don't think of the thousand other ways that it's really deadly
Right.
on a day-to-day basis. It was so fun writing it. It was really fun being there in New Mexico where we shot it, right outside of Santa Fe, which is a really beautiful little city. Um, but my assessment after being there for a while was like Santa Fe is great for like a week.
Mm.
Then after that, you're like, okay, I've walked around this plaza before. It's tiny. It's really pretty, but I think I would go nuts there.
Was it a long
Um,
shoot?
it wasn't that long. I think it was normal. Whatever the schedule was, it was. I can't remember if it was 6 weeks or something like that. But a little fun trivia. Same place where uh, Alec Baldwin accidentally shot someone was
Really?
the so he found 1,000,001 ways. That was the 1,000,001st way to die in the West was faulty prop master or whatever that was. But yeah, so that was in the same place. But it was beautiful there. Really, just like you did feel like you were kind of in the old West.
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, I was a big fan of it. It's one of those things that when a movie like that comes out, speaking from experience, the movie that I wrote and everything like that, it was not the biggest. The critics didn't love us as much as possible. I thought the fans liked us and stuff, but I mean that has to feel like there's a little bit of injustice there, because I thought that you and the team put out just a great product and it just didn't get the attention it deserved. But
Yeah, yeah. It was interesting because I think that we felt like, as we were writing it, as we were shooting it, and as it was getting ready to come out, that it was going to do better than it
yeah.
did. Um, I think people have a thing with Seth himself. I
Mm,
think like if maybe we had like Ryan Reynolds or
right.
something in the lead of that movie, it may have done better because I think people are people like hearing that something is by Seth MacFarlane, but I don't know if they're
Mm.
always ready to go see something with Seth MacFarlane. So it's
Or they just want to
possible.
hear him, I guess it sounds like, because everything that he
It's
in
like
the
they
voiceover.
like that they think that he's funny, but they don't. I don't know if they trusted him as like a leading man, which was kind of the point of the movie. It was like
Sure.
his character was sort of like a weak
Yeah.
coward. But yeah, I think just superficially, had that movie been cast with someone who was like a leading comedic actor at the time,
Yeah.
I think it would have done better. I don't know that it would have been better, but
Sure.
it probably would have done better.
On a practical level, how did you juggle? Because obviously you were still working on all the things that you were working on. How did you juggle the movie schedule with the TV schedule and everything like that?
Well, it's easier when your TV boss is also
Oh,
your movie boss.
I
So
guess that's true.
it's kind of like he would deal with the whatever limited fallout there would be from me
Gotcha.
not being available as much for the TV job. But that being said, I do remember several times where uh, Wellesley and I, who were still working on Family Guy at the time, would be in our trailer on the Western working on Family Guy, like working on something remotely for the
Right.
afternoon to send back. And so there was at least the appearance of still being involved with both, even though it
I
wasn't
see.
obviously as often.
That's nice. That's nice. And then
Yeah.
obviously Ted and Ted 2 and the even you're even a consulting producer on the Ted TV show. Hopefully, maybe fingers crossed, a future animated show. It might even sound like. I mean, that whole character is amazing. Did you? Who was the initial kind of instigator and kind of creator of that idea of the teddy bear? Was it Seth or?
Seth, yeah, yeah. Seth came with the idea for the first movie pretty well shaped in his mind, at least the important parts of it. Kid who doesn't have friends makes a Christmas wish that his stuffed teddy bear comes to life. It does. Then
Yeah,
we see them 30 years later. So that was all Seth. But I just was lucky that he asked me to help him with it.
it's awesome.
So that was just a really fortuitous thing.
It's a great character. Honestly, it's a lot of fun, and even the television show that's the prequel, is just so funny, and it's
Yeah,
just
agreed.
such a great job.
Yeah, no, I think that my I helped out a little bit with season one of
Mhm.
that TED TV show, and not really so much with season two, although I'm in season two. I make a
You
cameo.
are
Yeah, I have to. I had to speak in Latvian.
oh
So I play a character who is clearly Latvian and have a few lines, one of which was a long line in Latvian that I had to learn. And I figured, okay, I'll learn this like phonetically or something. And they said, no, 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 we actually have a guy in Latvia who we want you to Zoom with to practice this line. And when I tell you, this guy was like a taskmaster. Like I figured I'd just repeat what he says a couple times, we'd be done. This Zoom had to have been an hour.
my
For one and so it was really kind of bothering me. And like because I feel like I'm kind of good at just like imitation. So I was
yeah,
just like, dude, just say it, I'll imitate it. But he was so hyper specific. And so that was a couple weeks before the shoot, and I'm
right.
practicing it in my head, and then we get to the shoot day and my line is coming up and I'm like, okay, I've got it totally memorized. And then right before we started shooting, somebody came up to me and said, like, we just want you to know that we have, sort of Harold is on Zoom watching.
No.
And I was like, God, I'm so extra nervous. I was like, what this guy is haunting my dreams.
That's the
Oh,
worst. Oh
we
my.
got it though. We got it though.
You have done a ton of voice work too. I mean, you are you've not only have you done that, but I mean, Family Guy, you're a ton of voices in the Cleveland show and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I think you're still the voice of Jesus.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one that people, the only one that people might remember. Most of the other ones are just kind of in one-off
Sure.
situations, but it's always fun. And that's all because of Seth. Seth had it in his mind from early on Family Guy that oftentimes the writer who pitches a joke and it gets a laugh in the room, that's the way that it should be said, you know. Yeah.
That's so cool. I'm so glad that you do that. Well, I mean, what a pantheon of work that you've accomplished, my friend. So, as you talking about all the things that you've done, I mean, you know the premise of the podcast. It's something that we really hope to reach out and get a hold of teachers that are in the trenches and know that they have something to do with. That transitions us into school. When you were in school, did you know that you wanted to do this kind of thing? Is that the focus, or
Yeah, I believe I did. I mean, even back to high school, I used to write a lot of hopefully funny stuff for the school paper, and that often involved somehow getting in trouble for some of the stuff that was written. You know, it was always that like weird shell game of how far is too far. But yeah, I think from early on I wanted to be a performer on Saturday Night Live. Like
yeah,
as a kid, like watching SNL and just thinking like this is the greatest thing
a hundred
ever.
percent?
And around the sort of college early 20s eras when there was a shift from like, okay, maybe I'm not supposed to be on stage, but I do enjoy writing the comedy, and it seems like that might actually be. I think I'm possibly better at that than I am at putting myself out there as a performer. So the writing was always there, but I think that I definitely had a goal of wanting to be kind of a performer, and
Yeah.
then that just kind of shifted.
Were you in drama and things like that in school as well?
Absolutely. Yeah,
100%.
yeah. I loved being in school plays and
Mhm.
and doing all that stuff.
Honestly, and this is a personal opinion, for sure, but I think some of the best writers were performers originally, so that especially with dialogue and everything, you get an idea of how you should say it. And don't get me wrong, obviously, there are tons of writers that have never stepped foot on stage that are incredible, but
Right.
especially in comedy, it seems like, more than anything. Well, in that school experience, Alec, was there, and this is really the crux of the podcast, was there a favorite teacher or were there several that and why? This is I'd love to hear about your stories.
I had many great teachers, but absolutely there's one who I always single out when asked. Um, her name is we called her KPVN, Kathy P. Van Norden, and I believe she's retired now, but she was an English teacher at my high school, and in particular, I took a class with her on Dante, and I just remember
Really?
that class totally blowing my mind, um, changing the way I thought about literature and writing.
Yeah.
And I just remember actually really looking forward to being in her class, to
Interesting.
any kind of assignment in a way that I had never been before. You know, I've had kind of the standard kid attitude about work and homework and on class, and it was all like, oh, let's get to the weekend and be done with that.
Yeah.
But I remember really being excited for her class. She had a way of teaching that was so engaging.
Hmm.
She had a way of discussing complex themes and really dense material that made it seem much more accessible
Wow.
than like the sort of the slog of reading material that's set up like stanzas and cantos and Shakespearean and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, and
Difficult material.
it's daunting, it's difficult, and that became more like a fun challenge
Wow.
as opposed to something like where your mind goes blank and you're just like, all right, I'll get the Cliff's Notes.
Hmm.
But she was awesome, and I think I was 15 or 16 maybe, and had really no experience with girls, like none of that was going on. And she's obviously, 20, 25 years older than I am, a
Right.
mom. Like she wasn't like some like hot for teacher
Right.
kind of thing, but I really felt like I loved her. Like
Wow.
I really loved being around her. I loved the way she taught. I loved the way that I felt about about the material.
Wow.
So she to me like stands head and shoulders above everyone.
Now, would you feel that everybody in the class would have the same kind of reaction to her, or do you think it was maybe more of just a personal connection that you had?
Well, I think it was a mix. I don't think everyone totally, bought into it or fell for it the way that I did, but I also know that I had a few good friends who were also in that class, and I know that they were deeply engaged in
That's
it as
cool.
well. Yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah.
Now, in that, do you remember any individual just kind of interactions that you had personally and everything like that that kind of gave you insight to her? Or was it always just like, no, she was always just kind of up there, did her thing, we were engaged and we loved it as a class, but could you get the sense of her relationship even with you directly as a person?
Yes, yes, yes. And a lot of that came through like when you would hand in an assignment or a paper and then you would get it back and the comments, the notes, hers were always so like, and it was interesting for because she didn't discourage comedy in
Oh,
even writing about, Dante's Inferno. Um, like she did not mind if you were kind of like making light of something or
yeah.
whatever, and she would often point, comment on it, like in her grading. And I just remember feeling so encouraged that she had noticed,
Yes.
like everything that she noticed about the way that I was writing was, and she didn't always agree or she didn't always even like it, but like she would notice everything that I was trying to do. And I found that very encouraging and like, again, like a real challenge to, okay, this person sees everything that I'm doing. So how
Yeah.
can I try to make this paper the best for her?
That is, I cannot tell you how much that even resonates with me personally, just because of
Yeah.
my own school experience as well. And there are so many times that we know that when we're in class and we're doing something back in the day, I mean, path of least resistance. If there's an opportunity for me to fudge this, basically throw some stuff. Now we're in the world where, you and I are of a certain age that we didn't have Chat GPT to help us write papers, but we would still do whatever we could just to get by and check the box. But
Yes.
when there was that teacher that said, I'm really paying attention to what you're doing,
Yeah.
totally different.
Totally different. Totally. Yeah. And listen, I went to a school where it was a fancy prep school, and so in a lot of ways it could have been like, it was the 1980s and 90s, but it could have been the 30s, 40s. Like a lot of teachers were checked out. A lot of them
Yeah.
were legacy older guys who, would smoke out the window in class, like they didn't give a shit.
No,
So when you got one who did, it really sticks out.
that's fantastic. And last question I'll have about her, she's retired. Do you know if she's still with us?
She is still, yes, she is still with us. I believe she still lives right in that area near my school in Massachusetts. And yeah, I mean, first of all, I've mentioned her, on probably at least a handful, if not a dozen podcasts before. And I do kind of email with her, once
Good.
every few years just to like, reiterate how appreciative I am.
That is so great.
Yeah.
Even I had the opportunity, obviously, to have Mike Scully on the podcast, and he did the same thing. It's like I couldn't have scripted a better like commercial. He literally said like, if you're out there and you're listening and you had a favorite teacher, like go and reach out and talk to them. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, that's so perfect. So,
It's exactly right.
oh, thank you so much for sharing that story with us. I know that people will absolutely be encouraged by that. I mean, huge shout out. So thank you so much for that.
Of
Uh,
course.
we're pretty much wrapping up. Plugs. Is there anything right now going on besides Family Guy, of course, that's still ongoing? Is there anything that you'd like people to be able to connect with you about as far as projects and stuff?
Well, obviously, I'm still working at Family Guy, loving it there. We've got a great crew over there, really great writing staff, funny people. Um,
450 episodes coming up soon, I
yeah,
think.
very soon.
Insane.
So yeah, we there's a Family Guy Christmas special is coming out like pretty soon on Hulu, which I think will be it's a funny takeoff on like Hallmark movies.
Yes.
So it's
Okay.
pretty fertile area there. But yeah, other than that, I'm just really enjoying working on the show, and that's been my focus lately.
That's incredible. I know too that you had partnered with a social media like text group text app called Ramble and everything like that, which is incredible. I had a lot of fun just kind of experimenting with it and everything like that.
Appreciate that.
I know that there's still opportunity for people to check that out and everything and just boost the engagement on it. But I'm excited to see where that takes you in the future as well.
Me too. Me too. Who knows?
Who knows? Jeff Zuckerberg might be just taking your number and just taking it off your hands for a nice hefty sum or something
Yeah,
like that.
right. That'd be good.
So,
Yeah,
well, thank you so much again for joining us, Alec. I really appreciate
of
your time.
course. Thanks
For
for
everybody
having
else
me.
that's out there that was watching, thank you so much for watching. If you watched us on YouTube, do all the subscribe stuff. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple, drop a review. It really does help us to get seen. And again, the more people see it, the more teachers and people can be encouraged by it. Thank you so much again to my incredible guest, Alec Sulkin. And hopefully, you'll take this opportunity as an encouragement. You'll be nice to somebody out there, and we'll see you next time, everybody. Thanks for watching.